Feel like you're being pulled in 1,000 directions? Let's fix that. Download your free rebalancing toolkit and learn how to design an optimized week that lets you feel like you have it all. Get the goods at brilliantbalance.net/have-it-all.
I'm Cherylanne Skolnicki, and this is Brilliant Balance, the show for working women who are ready to shine. Each week, I bring you ideas, inspiration, and insight on balance, business, and getting it all done gracefully. You ready? Let's be brilliant. This is episode 54 of the Brilliant Balance podcast. So welcome back, everybody. I am happy to have you here, heading headlong into fall in November already. Wow. I don't know what happened to October. It was a really whirlwind month around here with the business and with my personal life, just lots and lots of things happening. And some months, it just feels like we're in this accelerator. I don't know exactly what it is, but October was definitely one of them. Punctuated by lots of really, really great moments and experiences and memories. But it seems like just yesterday we were saying, here we are in October, and now here we are already in November. So last week, I was supposed to have one of those really good moments, sort of a capstone to October. I was scheduled to be in Chicago with my mom and my godmother. We were flying up to see Ina Garten. So if you don't know Ina Garten, she is the Barefoot Contessa. And she's actually the author of 11 cookbooks, and she is on tour promoting her newest one, which is called Cook Like a Pro. So we were excited about having a girls' day in Chicago, and we were flying out of Columbus, Ohio, and our flight was canceled. And it was just too close to the event to be able to make new travel plans. So sadly, we were not able to actually see her on tour. But it was a miss because Ina Garten actually plays a pretty big role in my entrepreneurial journey. Years and years ago, my husband and I attended a wedding in Atlanta, and it was my friend May's wedding. And between the wedding ceremony and the reception, there was a bit of time to kill in between. And so we ended up in this Barnes & Noble bookstore that had a coffee shop and thought, well, we'll get a coffee and spend a little time until we go to the reception. And as I was standing there drinking this coffee and flipping through books that were on display, I opened her book, The Barefoot Contessa. And I read the introduction of the book. I am confident I was just captivated by the cover image of this book. But I opened it up and I read the introduction where, the author tells the story, usually, how the book came to be. And it was one of those moments where, it felt like time stood still. And I read the story of how she had started this shop called the Barefoot Contessa. And what I remember thinking was, I could do this. I could do this. And you may have heard me tell the story before that my very first entrepreneurial dream as an adult, the vision I thought I was going to bring to life was to open what would essentially be an artisan bakery and food shop. And the inspiration for that was definitely, it's unquestionably was reading the introduction of this book. To the point where I later made a pilgrimage to the Hamptons to see the store at another friend's wedding. I think it was actually connected to her bridal shower, but I had to be on Long Island for either the shower or the wedding of my friend Joanne. I can't remember now which it was. My parents were there with me. I was still single at the time, and we drove out to the Hamptons to see this store, the Barefoot Contessa. And it was as adorable as you would expect. Absolutely an adorable little store. It was smaller than I thought it would be, but super cute. And obviously there was lots of photography of the store in the book, so I kind of knew where we were headed. And the store is no longer open. Ina Garten sold that store and then later it closed. But it was a really beautiful expression of her dream. And one thing I remember being really inspired by in the story was that she opened the store after having had a successful career in government. She bought it almost on a whim. She saw it. She saw that it was for sale. She fell in love with it. She knew that it was her time, and she quit her job and bought this store. And it always made me wonder, like all the way back to the first time I read the story, who does that? How many of us would do that, would follow that kind of a prompting and actually act on the idea when it came? So many of us let those ideas pass us by. We just delay and delay and delay. And we think, well, that's just a crazy dream. That's just a radical idea. It's nothing I would ever actually do. And yet you look at where it led for somebody like Ina Garten. She was like the nuclear energy budget analyst or something under several sitting presidents. And yet when she saw that store go up for sale, she felt like, this is what I'm supposed to do. And what if she had waited for someday? Where would she be? Where would we be? I think I own every one of her cookbooks. They're just delightful. She's had the TV show. She's just influenced so many people with her style of food preparation. And I always describe it as sort of this like fresh abundance. All of her food is like, it's not always trimmed back to be the healthiest, right? She doesn't cut the fat. She doesn't cut the addition of some extra indulgent ingredients in her cooking, but there's this notion of like vitality and vibrancy and abundance in everything that she makes. It really influenced, I know, my own style of cooking. And then again, this entrepreneurial dream of, maybe it was possible to have a second chapter in my professional life that was radically different from the first. So today the question is, what about you, right? What are you waiting for? What are you saying someday to? And maybe it's not an entrepreneurial dream. Maybe it's something like finishing your basement and, making that part of your home exactly the way you've dreamed of. Maybe it's buying the house, that you've driven by, or the neighborhood that you keep looking in thinking maybe someday, right, we'll move to that house or buy that home or build that home. Maybe it is a business that you're thinking about starting that keeps coming back to your mind when you're quiet. Maybe you have a desire to show your art, to put your art into the world and to inspire people with your artistic expression. Maybe you need to file for the patent on that invention that you've been sketching out, right? Or start the exercise plan to have your body come in line with the vision that you have for yourself. Whatever it is, if you have been saying to yourself, someday I'll get to that, I just have to tell you, it's not coming. Someday is not coming. And what I see sort of three things that we're waiting for. When we have these dreams, these ideas, these visions, these glimpses of what's possible, and they're sort of sitting on the shelf, there's usually one of three things that we're waiting for. The first is, we're waiting for a good time. We're waiting to feel like the time is right. And listen, you are busy. You probably work, you have a family, you're taking care of yourself. We live in 2018, in which the sheer number of things coming at us every day is, insanity personified. There is no good time. There is never going to be a time where everything in your life opens up and aligns and says, this is the space, walk into it. You're going to have to create that space. You're going to have to do it anyhow if you want to bring these dreams to fruition. So if the thing standing between you and that dream that you really have is that you're waiting for it to be a good time, I would just encourage you to stop waiting, because I don't think that good time is coming your way anytime soon. Anytime soon.
Feel like you're being pulled in 1,000 directions? Let's fix that. Download your free rebalancing toolkit and learn how to design an optimized week that lets you feel like you have it all. Get the goods at brilliantbalance.net/have-it-all.
The second thing that I hear people waiting for is they're waiting to feel ready. So a lot of times in Breakthrough, we'll be in discussions with women who are in the membership program that I run, and they'll be talking about these dreams, right? We spend a lot of time unpacking dreams in Breakthrough. And then there's this hesitation of, I just don't feel quite ready, right? I don't feel like I've got the skills, the experience, the, financing, the whatever it is. I just don't feel like I'm quite ready to do it. And I will tell you, you won't ever feel ready. The things that you are supposed to do will require you to lean into your discomfort. They will require you to get comfortable being uncomfortable. If you're truly committed to growth, right? You don't have to do that if you just want your life to look exactly the same as it does today. But if you really are committed to growth, to taking things to the next level, to pursuing some of these dreams that you've held maybe for a long time, then you're going to have to lean into that discomfort. And I can't really make that easier for you, but what I can tell you is on the other side, you'll wonder what you were waiting for. Right? Because once you've done it, once you've already had the experience, you're like, oh, I see now that I didn't need anything more in order to make this happen, right? What I really needed was to summon courage and actually take the step. So if you're waiting to feel ready, maybe instead shift your thinking and say, I'm never going to feel ready. So what would it look like to do it anyhow? And the third thing I would say I hear people waiting for is waiting for permission. And sometimes this one is really subconscious. It's not like a conscious thought of, I need somebody to bless this or give me permission. But if you pay attention to your behavior, you may find that you're running this past a lot of people. I just want to run this past my husband, or I want to run it past my sister or my friend. And what we're looking for is the encouragement and support. So what truly happens is people will follow your confidence. Once you get clear that this is your dream, right? This is happening. You are going to show your art. You are going to finish the basement. You are going to start the business. When you have a level of clarity and a level of confidence and energy behind that, other people will follow that. And then you'll earn their support, but you don't need their permission, right? It's your clarity. You get clear first, and then they get clear. It's not the other way around. So many of us are running our ideas past everybody saying, what do you think? What do you think about this? What do you think? And guess what? The first person who raises an eyebrow and says, I don't know if you need to do that, or why would you want to do that, or that might not work. We're crushed. We're crushed by that feedback, especially when the idea is in its infancy. And then what do? We walk away. So I think the flip side is, what will it take for you to get that internal clarity that this really is my deepest desire? And while I don't feel ready, I'm going to put these pieces in place anyhow because I'm done waiting for it to be the perfect time. And when you shop that plan around for support, for encouragement, you'll be amazed by how people line up behind you. And then you'll get you go for it. This is your time, right? You go make that happen. We know you can do this, because what they're really responding to is your energy in that exchange. And when your energy is strong and it's grounded and you're clear, then they almost have no choice but to support you. When you're wavering and you're waffling and you just don't know, and what if it doesn't work, then they almost feel like you're asking them to talk you out of it. Like, please talk me out of it so I don't have to do this. And you really want to make sure you've shifted to the place where you have a level of clarity already that's independent of anybody else's permission, that this is truly your desire, right? So whatever it is that you're waiting for, whatever it is, if you're waiting to have the money lined up, if you're waiting to have the time and space cleared in your schedule, if you're waiting to just feel ready, to feel that sense of readiness, or to have everyone's blessing, you need everybody to sign off on this. I want you to recognize those for what they are. These are really distractions or excuses that are keeping you from doing the thing, right? These are the tools of what we sometimes call the resistance, that force that rises up when you're about to do something important, and the force is there to stop you. And these things that we've been talking about today, these really are the tools of the resistance, and you will have to lay them down if you want to get anywhere. So the question to ask instead, this one simplified question that brings clarity, is, what if I did it now? What then? What then? What possibilities would that open up? Because here's the thing, saying I'll do it someday, it's a cop-out. You got to call it what it is because you won't. It's especially dangerous right now as we head into the holidays. This is kind of the 2-month, no questions asked, foolproof reason to delay anything and everything. If you say, well, I can't do it now because we're heading into the holidays, everyone in your life will back you up on that. They will say, of course. I mean, you would be crazy to do it now. Don't let that happen. Don't let that happen, right? What if you started now? What then? What does that open up? And I want you to really dig deep and think, because the thing that you are delaying, the thing that you are waiting to do, the thing you will keep saying someday about is probably the most important thing to you. So listen, go make something happen, right? Figure out what's the first step in this plan so you can start to ride that momentum, that wave of energy that you get as soon as you take the first step forward. I'm going to keep it really simple for today because that's what I want you thinking about. What would happen then? Go take that action. Go make something happen. Until next time, my friends, let's be brilliant.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.